with all your heart. And lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. And he shall. Somebody say he shall. Direct your paths. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you've just been given the prescription, the GPS for your success. Yeah. Yeah, tell somebody the GPS of your success. You may be seated in this place. The GPS for your success. I promise you I won't be long. Just give me a few moments. All of us in this room have visions and great dreams. And I just believe that by creation, God created all of us to do something great.
Yes.
That if you are alive right now, God has divine purpose and a divine plan for your life. Somebody's looking at me right now, and it looks like every time you try to break through, you get a setback. Just when it looks like you're about to break through the glass ceiling, something comes along and shifts your circumstances.
Yes, tell it, Pastor.
Just when you think you got more than enough money, here comes something that breaks down in the house. Just when you think you're about to break through, something comes and brings about a setback. I discovered it's not enough just to be good. I'm reading this book. It's called From Good to Great. It's not enough to have a good ministry. For good is the enemy to great. It's not enough just to have a good life.
Yes.
My desire is to have a great life. It's not enough to have a good ministry. We need to have a great. There we go. I know I had somebody in here. I've heard a lot of good preaching, but I want to do great preaching. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm moving from good to my great. And here it is in Proverbs chapter 3. It is written by King Solomon. King Solomon is also called the preacher. It is King Solomon who was not a fighter, but in the terms of Michael Jackson, I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover.
Right.
And King Solomon was a lover and not a fighter. But because he was connected to God and had wisdom, God had given the kingdom years of peace. Not only did he write Proverbs, but he writes Ecclesiastes. And he also writes the Songs of Solomon. So King Solomon was a writer. He was a lover. He had wisdom. Matter of fact, the Bible declares that there was no one in the earth who was as wise as King Solomon. The word Proverbs is the Hebrew word mashal, which means illustrations, wise sayings. A proverb is just simply wise sayings. Let me see if I can bring to your neighborhood. You've heard it said that a penny saved. Yeah, that's a wise saying. God helps those. Come on, I know that's a proverb. And so here Solomon writes here in Proverbs, which is considered a book of poetry. And he writes here as an illustration and shares with us that there are benefits in trusting God.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody's got some trust issues. But I want to suggest to you there are benefits in trusting God. I know you have relationships that betrayed your trust. But I want to suggest to you, try Jesus. He'll alleviate your trust issues. I wish I had somebody in here who has ever tried him. And when you tried him, some way and somehow, he turned your situation around. Is there somebody in here that ever tried him? Your back was against the wall. And some way and somehow he may not come.
When you want it.
I'm almost done, y'all. But he's always on time. And here he says, first of all, you got to trust in the Lord. Now, I know your circumstances may not be mine. And my circumstances may not be yours. But all of us are right now needing to trust God for something. Yeah, some of us are employed and we still trust in God. Some of us are unemployed and we're trusting God. Some of us have cars and we're trusting God. Some of us don't have cars and we're trusting God. Some of us are in good health as far as we know and we trust God. And others that are having health problems, but yet we're still trusting God. And so he says we've got to develop this trust, because some of us have trust issues because people have let us down, and so now we're skeptical when it comes to trust. I wish I had some sister who gave all she had to that brother. She bought him, put groceries, he wasn't even working, put groceries in the house. You looked out for him and you come to find out he got some side chick. And now you done with all men because you said, I can't trust them because this one brother I have, he let me down. So now, I wish I had this sister. You got some trust issues. It happens with brothers too who do everything, go bust their backside on the job and take care of the sister, and come to find out she got about 3 or 4 brothers on the side who's been sowing seed in her life, not for ministry, but for some other ministry. And now he has trust issues. That whenever a woman looks at him, he just keeps stepping because what happened to him the last time, now he has trust issues. But I want to suggest to you as I started wrestling with this is that there's a difference between trust and belief.
Yeah.
I said, Lord, come on, talk to your boy, because there's a difference between you believing and you trusting. And he says, now, right along here, we need you to trust God. Come on, I know y'all wait for me to tell you the difference. He says, we've got to trust him, because trust deals with the perspective of how you view a person. Yeah, and you confide in this person because you have trust. And I start digging to confide means you release secrets. Yes. Come on, somebody. Yes. You ever had somebody that you trusted and you told them your secrets? Yeah. Because you trust them and you have this perspective of them that if you tell them what's happening with you, you know that it's safe with them. Yeah. But then when it comes to believing, it's on a case-by-case situation. Let me see if I can build it here. That at one point, I could believe God to help me financially in one situation, but I had to believe God when my daddy died, because I never had a daddy die before. So I had to believe God to bring me through, because now I've got a new case where I have to lean on it. And I know there's somebody here that as you go through life, that there are cases upon cases, that one you believe God to help you in your marriage. In the next year, you believed him to help you while you were going through your divorce. That's the difference between believing and trusting. High five your neighbor and say, neighbor, you got to trust God. Now, even in the situation as us as a church, we've got to trust God. We trust him and we believe him. We believe him and we trust him. Because our credit is good with God, because I know what God has done before. Come on, somebody. And because you know what God has done for you before, you trust him to bring you through this. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, he did it for me before. Yeah, I need you just to talk to your neighbor. Say, neighbor, I don't know what you're going through. But if God brought you out before, don't trip on trusting him now. Because if God put bread on your table last week, he's the God that'll put bread on your table this week. If God touched your daughter last year, he's able to touch your daughter this year. High five your neighbor and say, neighbor, I've learned to Yeah, look at somebody and say, you know what? I'm going through hell and high water. I don't know if I'm coming or going, but I made up my mind I'm going to trust God. Jeremiah 39:18, he says, for since you have trusted me and you have held on to me, he says, surely I'm going to deliver you. High five your neighbor and say, neighbor, I ain't got nobody else. So I made up my mind I'm going to trust God. And if I trust God, I'm going to be like Job. Let the bottom fall out. Let people leave me. Let folk betray me. But though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Now I got to twist the bad news for you. I got to twist the bad news for you. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, there's bad news. There's bad news in trusting God. Watch this. Stay with me here. Because I need to let you know that not only are there pluses in trusting God, but there are also minuses. Yeah, stay with me here. Because trusting God will get you in trouble. Yeah. Trusting him will get you in trouble. Ask the 3 Hebrew boys who said, you know what? We ain't going to bow and we ain't going to budge. And he said, all right, since you ain't going to bow or budge, we're going to make sure you burn. And they put them in the fiery furnace, all because they trusted God. But what I love about God is if you trust him, he will lead you to a trail of triumph. Because they trusted God, they got put in the fiery furnace. Come here, Peter. Peter trusted God and got put in prison. Yes, sir. And Pete and Paul trusted God and got surrounded by men and got stoned until he fell on the ground until they thought he was dead. But what I love about God is that if you trust him, he'll lead you to the road of triumph. Because even though they were put in the fiery furnace, the Bible declares that since they didn't bow or budge, they still didn't burn. High five your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm going to trust him. That even though Peter got put in prison, the church kept on praying, and God gave Peter a prison break. An angel showed up and touched him. His chains fell off and he walked out of prison. And it was Paul who was stoned, and they were hoping that he'd die, but he still survived. And I want to decree and declare to somebody in this room that if you trust God, he will bring you out. If you trust God, he will turn it around. If you trust God, he will bring a shift. High five your neighbor and say, neighbor, I made up my mind. I'm going to trust God. Folk might leave me, but I'm going to trust God. They might think I'm crazy, but I'm going to trust God. High five your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm going to trust God. He says, trust him. Now he says, trust in the Lord. High five your neighbor. Say, neighbor, you got to make sure you know where you put your trust. He says, trust in the Lord. Now the interesting word here for Lord is the word Jehovah, or you know it as Jehovah. Not only that, but it's also the word Adonai, which means that he is the self-sufficient God. But it's also the word that also means to control. It means to own. It means to orchestrate. It is also the equivalent Greek word